In recent years, there's been a huge uplift in women's empowerment and women's role in Pakistani society. More women are being employed at higher job positions, voting in elections, and getting their voices heard. Pakistani activist Shad Begum has spent her life working for the right of women to live their lives to their fullest potential. She began with building women-centric organization Association for Behavior and Knowledge Transformation, also known as ABKT, with the blessing of her father in 1994, and later helped women run for elections.
I myself, when I was growing up, so I realized that there is so many problems with women and girls when it comes to access education, health facilities, even right to vote and to represent her issues in any social or political or formal or informal platform. So I have seen all these issues myself. And while growing up, I realized that by the time we will not stand up for our own issues, we will not start doing something about it. Nobody will realize and come to resolve our problem. So I initiated the work with the support of my father. And we established a women-led NGO working for women, by the women, for the women. So this is why actually we started working for raising women issues specifically, and then focusing on their economic empowerment and political empowerment. Because with the passage of time, we realized that there are so many problems when it comes to women and girls, but these are the two key areas where until and unless we will not have enough women empowered in these two sectors, like economic empowerment and political empowerment, we cannot actually really empower them or can help them to live a dignified life, a life which somebody will not actually discriminate them.
Instead of only providing charity, her team has focused on development and empowering individuals in economic and political areas. Begum began training 300 women and youth for the local elections in 2015, believing that an increase in representation would be able to resolve and soften the issues towards women.
We started from a small village, and just like organizing women locally, but with the passage of time, we started realizing that welfare or charity is not going to help women to change her situation. So we started working with the development approach, having more strategic vision. And that vision was that we need to invest in economically empowering women. So when she will be having her resources, she will be able to have the right to decide for herself, for her family, for her children. And then she will be able to access some facilities, some rights that she deserved. And then this will help her to improve her social status. And of course, then it will help her to run for public office. So this was the entire model, and we have been working for this. And then luckily we had this local bodies elections in the country, which was comparatively in easy way to let a common woman, not having a big rich family background or big political background, that she could run for the public office. So with this model, we started expanding to the other areas, the other districts as well. And with the passage of time, our work actually expanded more in the sector of this empowering women politically. And even our campaign, like the awareness campaign about why to vote, and how to vote, and even sensitization and advocacy with the political leaders, why we need women on the table, and what is actually why actually how this will benefit the entire community, not only women. And then we had some success stories as well. So with the passage of time, people started realizing as well. Even I contested the election as an independent candidate twice in Dir, just to support the other women, that they can come forward and they can fight for their own right. So today, what I would say, in our country, there are thousands of women sitting in the local councils. They are legislating for their rights. They are actually spending money, the funds, on specifically more for women-oriented development projects, because still women are far behind from so many development avenues. So this is actually the progress we have been doing, and the work is continued still. And we are actually trying to build the networks of these local councillors and to strengthen them. And even because still they're having lots of challenges and problems, because there is always a fight for resources among the powerful figures of the society. So when women will be asking for their share, so they will face more confrontation. Now when I see the very young women, and even women with disability, and even women even completely illiterate, but the way they are now contributing to the local development by legislation, by investing their funds on the local development, and especially on rising women issues at the local level. So I would say that is the progress, that is the change we have been trying to make in our society. The work we are doing for the political empowerment of women is that we need both of these two key ingredients, like these. So with these women, and that one is to legislate for their rights, for women's rights, for girls' rights, because when you will be having something legal like a law, so all the institutions will follow that. And this is actually an unfortunate situation in our country that at the national level, maybe there are good policies and laws, but at the local level, there are so many challenges and issues where we need legislation led by the local councils. Because this will actually then give a message to those who are always coming with the anti-women practices that, okay, these local institutions are believing and supporting women. So we need legislation and advocacy as well whenever there is any anti-women or girls things, or even like these women are legislating that if there is any development work, like for example skill development or education, so they need to spend actually the resources equally on women. So this is why we need legislation to let them realize all the communities, men, everyone, that we need this for everyone. And the another one is of course allocation for the development work. As I mentioned before, that there are very equal to like nothing, the health facilities, the education facilities, the skill facilities for women. So we need to spend on the infrastructure, building the infrastructure as well, because the world is changing so rapidly. People are entering in these sectors like still our women can't even imagine about those sectors. Like they can only think about the education to become a teacher or become a nurse or becoming health workers visit. But this is not actually the career of women. Our women is having more potential and they can contribute. And this is already has been happening in the other cities and other areas where they are given opportunities. So spending, like training these counselors in implementing programs that can develop that infrastructure for women in the community.
Over the decades, successive laws have sought to improve the position of women, but implementation has been lacking because it is mostly in the hands of male government functionaries and the police, who consider most violence against women as a family problem.
This is not only about the laws and the policies. The problem is mostly with the implementation. We have still very good policies and laws in our countries, but its implementation is always like almost equal to zero when it comes to women's rights. So the thing is, I more emphasize on implementation, and here actually women can play their role. That we need to constantly work on that, okay, this law is here, so what is the implementation? Why there is no implementation? And if there is no implementation, what are the hurdles? And we need to constantly talk to the policy makers. So again, the thing is, like, if I will speak about it, so I'm a person like a social activist or women rights activist, maybe my voice is louder and powerful, but not that much the way women sitting is a public representative having the vote bank, or the public representative, so she's having the authority, the right to legislate and to speak up about that. So this is why our struggle for women's political empowerment is more into the focus, because when we will be having more women on the policy table and the decision making table, then we will be having more conducive environment policies and its implementation for women in future.
Begum was much inspired by her father's social work in her early age. Men can also be increasingly able to make a positive contribution to improving rights and conditions for women in Pakistan.
In Pakistan, when you see most of the women, like I would say there are women, but most of the women, like you see the Malala Yousafzai example, her father was behind her. My father was behind me initially. And then there is time in my life that I decide for myself. I have my own institution. I do everything myself with my own knowledge, with my own intellect, you see. So I would say in countries like Pakistan, the culture we have, we need men to stand with us together. So initially there was a resistance, but now the things are very much changing. We see the support coming from the men as well, because we don't actually don't believe in the split. We are not like, by asking for women's equal rights is not degrading men's rights. This is actually dividing the burden, because men are already much overburdened. Like, they are told that they have to earn each and everything for the family. They're responsible for everything. They're strong. They always need to be strong, and all these things, which is actually overburdening men. So men are realizing these things, because now the social media is there. Even the interaction among among women and men is actually has been increased, and whatever we do, even most of the people now, they see that what we are doing. Initially, this was the issue, that for access mobility and listening, communication each other.
Begum encourages women and girls to pursue their ambitions and inspire those around them.
I always consider the resistance is positive. That keeps you going. That keeps you making more, having the potential and more the capacities to deal with the different situations. So, and this is actually the issues we are working. Like, for example, when we say that we are believing and we're struggling for a society which is giving you the equal opportunities to women without discriminating because where they belong to, what they believe in, or what their gender is, all these things. So at the end, everyone is realizing that yes, this is actually a real vision and mission which can actually help so many others as well. So the resistance is there because the mindset, this is actually the mindset has been made with, in decades and centuries, and we are trying to change that thing. It is taking us time, but when I see back the journey, the successes, and the work you've been doing and the support we have been getting, so I realized that okay, there was the support as well. So I'm always telling the women and girls, when they're initiating anything, they should not expect that there will be support every time, but they also should not expect that there will be resistance all the time. When they will actually deliver something, and when people will see the impact, so of course then they will see people standing with us. I do realize when we were asking for the first time for the right to vote for women, so we faced confrontation not only from the religious people, but even from the secular and the liberal political parties led by even women in Pakistan. Even they confronted the idea of women right to vote and contesting the elections because they thought that this is against the culture. But when we started to mobilizing and engaging those men as well, because we don't believe on the discrimination or disengagement with any community or group of the society. So my message to every woman and girl is that if there is any opportunity for you, like for example, you have access to anything, you have education, you have any skill, just believe in yourself and keep on going. And the result will come, because this is about the process. What you invest, the return itself will come out. So the challenges are there. We should not expect the life very ideal. We need to be realistic. Challenges are there everywhere in almost everything. We should not think that women living in West may be not having problem because she is maybe very qualified. She's having access to everything. But no, if we will ask any woman living in any corner of the world, every woman is having her own issues and challenges. So these challenges and issues are part of life, not actually the hurdles. They are keep making us, to move on and like keep going.